Scott, tee us up with that again here.
All right, so this was a good one that I'd heard, which was, if you close your eyes and it's just like the magic of Christmas, oh my God, the best present ever, and you opened it up, what was that present that you've received? And to Rob's point, it has to be PG-13. Okay. Now yours was, Jade said, what was yours? A baseball card? I got to hear about this one.
Yeah, I mean, and I got this as an adult, but it brought me back to feeling like a kid immediately. And
okay.
My wife got me a 1934 Goody Gum Lou Gehrig baseball card. And that is like, Lou Gehrig was my favorite ball player growing up learning about. And so as an adult, I got back to collecting some cards. And so she tracked down this pretty rare, awesome card for me. And that was like I was 9 years old again when I opened that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
How much is the Lou Gehrig baseball card? Is it like $100 thing or like $1,000 thing?
Well, and where do you keep it in your house? And and there are only 300 people listening.
Well, it's all about the condition of the card. You know, these cards that I collect can be worth thousands and thousands of dollars, or they can be worth hundreds of dollars. And I don't care about the condition. I just want to possess it for sentimental reasons. So even if it's got a giant crease down the middle and rounded corners, I don't care. It's like, for me, it's about collecting the Hank Aaron's and Willie Mays and Sandy Koufax. I want those cards to just as for sentimental reasons.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
wow.
That's cool.
What was yours, Kent? You had to go to the first one that comes into your head. You can't go to the second.
Oh man, definitely a chrome GT bicycle when I was like 10 years old. It was all chrome. I loved BMX. I still love BMX. Freaking 30.
Did it have the pegs on the back so you could like give somebody a ride or do tricks?
Had all that. Had all of it.
Oh man.
And I was in love. Oh yeah.
Like mag wheels, you know.
I didn't have mag wheels. That was a little before my time. Sorry, Scott. But
are mag wheels like? I think they're still popular, right? I don't know.
They might be now, but not in the 90s.
Okay.
And but I love the thing, and I got hurt on it. But I went on all my first adventures on that thing, so I loved it.
All right, Rob, it's your turn now.
My turn. No, talking about dating ourselves. This one generated the most family excitement. We were all gathered around our huge 19-inch TV for this. Was I can't even remember the year. It must have been 76 or 77-ish. We got Pong and had it connected to the TV.
Wow.
Yeah. The beginning of the video games. And it was
that on the ColecoVision where you had the little like dial that turned?
No, it was like little paddles, little ones, but it wasn't ColecoVision. No, I mean that was the only game. It was Pong. You connected to your TV, and I think you could play with like one paddle or two paddles if I remember right. But Jim, I think Atari might have made it, but it was even before. Like you weren't putting in the little cassettes or anything. It was before that. It was you plugged this game in, and that's what it played, and it was black and white. Or we had it on a black and white TV. I don't know which. Yeah. It might have been a black and white TV, but yeah.
Well, I remember the Atari had color because we were like, "Oh my gosh!"
Atari had color. Atari got into the '80s, but yeah, Pong was it in late '70s. This is letting everybody know I'm 50. So
ours was the Sega Genesis concept because we'd had Nintendo, and it was like mind blowing that you could do Super Mario Brothers or shoot the TV for Duck Hunt. But like the Sega Genesis, when that was opened up, and my brother and I were just like freaking out, and then we put in the first game of Sonic the Hedgehog, I was like, video games will never get better than this right here. Like this is the ultimate game. Like
Mike Tyson's Punch Out was like the best game ever.
Oh back in on Super Nintendo, that was the best.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was good.
Yep.
But I now have behind me, I now have a Sega Genesis with Sonic and with NHL 94 on there. So the internet's a wonderful thing to help you capture those old vintage items,
There were some great games back then. There was a game called Kaboom that
the
was a lot of fun.
game.
You were just catching bombs. There was bombs dropping, and you had buckets of water. You were catching them in, and yeah, they actually had a contest.
Yeah.
If you got to a certain score, they wanted you to take a Polaroid picture of the screen showing the score and mail it to them. And they sent you, I don't know what they sent you. I never got to that score, but they wanted to send you like a t-shirt or something for that game. It was fun.
You guys probably don't remember this, but do you guys have you ever seen or heard of the Nintendo Virtual Boy?
No.
So this was in 1995 probably, but it was like virtual reality, a headset that you put on the table and you put your head up to it, and you had the controller in your hand, and it was like a virtual reality headset before they knew what they were doing.
You stuck your face right against the screen?
Yeah, exactly. You stuck your head right up against the screen and played it, and it was like all the rage for. And I remember it was too expensive at $99. That's the reason no one got it and never got popular, because it was too pricey.
Huh.
Kind of like the Oculus is now. Huh.
Yeah.
Man.
Frogger forever. Oh man, Frogger. What a
Have
game.
you guys done any of the virtual? I went to a virtual reality place in Kansas City about a year ago that it was like an arcade you went in, but it was all virtual reality booths that were set up, and they had us doing things like we got in and rode an elevator up about 75 or 80 stories, and then they had you actually just like walk out the window onto a plank and then take a step off the plank into a free fall, and you like almost you couldn't do it. It was really hard to get you. You're standing there on the floor, but you couldn't take that step off and just fall. It was really cool.
I saw one at Dave & Buster's. They have like a Jurassic Park one where your seat moves around and you're kind of going up and down a little. So I would imagine it's coming, but we've said it's coming for, I don't know, 8 years now. I don't know, to completely immerse yourself like Ready Player One.
I don't know, the new virtual reality stuff. Like if you get somebody that actually has a rig that's set up to play some of those games, it's pretty immersive. It's insane, but it's also expensive to get into. You're talking about a tower that's expensive, but it's a matter of time. Now they're getting like the Oculus is all fully contained, and
Okay, well let's kick it off then. So I got yelled at by my bosses last time for starting it too late. So we give a little bit of time to get the people going, but we'll let it rip. So first of all, welcome to episode 4 of the golf industry gurus, or the golf tech gurus. Happy holidays, everybody out there. We've got our festive decor on. Jay, are you going to put yours on or no?
My Nordic Santa hat. Yeah.
Nordic Santa. Okay. So happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy Merry Christmas. Also, I did a quick search. Festivus is tomorrow. So Festivus for the rest of us is officially celebrated on December 23rd. So for all you Festivus people out there and your airing of grievances and the all that stuff, that's tomorrow. So this is our first ever sold out webinar, which an interesting story on that was when Kent was like, hey, I've got a company professional webinar ninja that'll last us, I think the limit is 300 people. And we're like, 300? Like we'll never get to that. There'll be like 30 or 40 of you that'll want to listen to this. So we are beyond pleased to have a sold out event here. So if not, though, you can still register. You'll still be able to watch it later on. So it could be the topic.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and showing up for this. Yeah.
And it could be the topic, right? That barter and discount is so 2019, or it could be the guest, right? And so we'll let history be the judge here. But I believe the guest might have something to do with it. So we are delighted to have a guest guru in the 4th spot here, Mr. Jay Karen from the National Golf Course Owners Association, coming to us live from Charleston. It's great to get his perspective on things. And, we certainly think a certain way about the industry, and to hear Jay's perspective as he's been around and seen a lot of it. So we are excited. So the first slide I have is just kind of a caveat for anybody that's thinking that it's all going to be one thing. We're going to try to zag maybe just a little bit here. It's not just who you think it is. If you think this is all going to be just about one provider or one thing, I cannot tell you how wrong you are. And I frame it with this ridiculous ad on the right, which is a real ad that gets posted up. It was in my Facebook feed at one point in time. It's a company called More Golf Today. So if there's a rep from More Golf Today on the webinar, I'm sorry, but we're going to flame you here a little bit. But to me, it gets down to the essence of what sometimes the pitfall here is that people need to be aware of. And it boils it down to this magical phrase, not the girl in the pink tank top and the skirt that's too short, but the stupidest phrase underneath that, which is more golf, less cash. And I say that as stupid to the audience that I'm talking to, which is golf course owners and operators. To golfers, not stupid. This is what we're looking for. More golf, less cash. Sign me up. So there are dozens of options to help golfers play more golf for less cash. Lots. Okay. And then actually, when I did a search on tee time discounts, 25,900,000 came up. So it's not one provider. Okay. In previous presentations, I will say that the patient zero of all of this is the lung card. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, sales rep walks into the golf shop. Hey, we're doing this lung card book to benefit cancer research. Give us a 2-for-1 at your facility, and we'll do this book and sell the book, and we'll make money for lung card research. And I'm sure 95% of it went to the vendor in his pocket and 5% went to lung card research. But really, that was sort of the beginning of it, the entertainment coupon books, those sort of things that were print-based. And now here we are in 2020 when it's in a digital format. And it actually can be, the discount bandwagon can actually be your own marketing efforts. You might be doing this. And Kent had alluded to it last week, where he's helping somebody sell a discount pass that sells out in 5 minutes. Your own marketing efforts, your own channel that you're using might have just undercut yourself and sold yourself short down the line. And as Rob will always tell me, that we have a lot of private clubs that join this or watch this too, that private clubs are absolutely affected by what goes on in the public market. If everybody in your area that's a high-end public or semi-private golf course starts to erode their price integrity, if they're selling it for 50% off, if More Golf Today has every single golf course in your area, and every golfer is clicking on the girl in the pink tank top and getting the message of more golf and less cash, that doesn't necessarily always, but it can affect your business model, which is usually initiation fee and monthly dues. Why would I pay initiation fee? Why would I pay monthly dues? Because the girl in the pink tank top is going to let me play golf for $400 for the month. I could play 50 rounds, so there's a lot. It's bad math, right? So, all right. So the previous case for a barter discount based, or tee time reseller relationship was new faces to the business you haven't seen. Marketing reach that can help drive demand through a database that they've aggregated through media avenues, through social, through anything that you might not have been able to reach on your own. The promise that once a golfer's in your ecosystem, they'll just keep coming back, and you'll have this frequency of golfer repetition. Allegedly at rack rate, Kent might talk a little bit about that during his slides about discounting. There's a lure there potentially of ancillary sales of merchandise, ancillary sales of food and beverage. And the time before twilight, which is kind of where all this started, way back when, it's a time that can't be filled. It's not a desirable tee time. Therefore, it has no value when it's given away. And lastly, if you're bartering or doing some sort of Groupon-based system, you don't have any cash to write a check, right? So my next slide then says, all right, what are we doing here with the Golf Tech Gurus? Is we're kind of looking at anything that we're doing in a post-COVID world. What happened in January of 2020? It doesn't make the most sense potentially, right? Now it still might make sense, but if I go back to the previous slides, look at those reasonings now here in December of 2020 or January of 2021. I have a bunch of new faces, right? We have demand that is at an all-time high. We have golfers that are continuously coming back because they don't have as much else to do. We have people that are becoming more and more price agnostic. They just want to, the availability is the thing. We might not have as much ancillary opportunity. Our food and beverage might be limited. Our pro shop might be limited due to certain state restrictions. The time before twilight, you had people probably coming out and playing at your golf course at times that you never thought you could sell. I mean, I had just secondhand stories of people going out at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., anything to just get out of the house and get their fix. And then obviously if you don't have cash to write a check, we now know that that's false because golf is so up, right? So we should have cash in there. So the other thing I want to look at from a post-COVID world is to bring up some of the things that Jim said, Jim Copenhaver from Pellucid said last episode, which was the amount of new golfers coming to the game. And it was something that this group had talked about yesterday on our pre-call, that if we have normally in a given year 100,000, 150,000, or 200,000 new golfers coming into the game, in 2020, when we see these results come out, it could be 2 million, 3 million, 4 million golfers coming, that are new. New as in new faces, or new as in they've dusted off their clubs after a few years and coming back into the game. If we're increasing our new golfer exposure by 10x or 20x, we could actually, during this window of time, be doing 20 times more damage based off of putting our tee times on More Golf Today, or sending out an email blast telling them about our $5 special. Or conversely, we could do 20 times more healing if we are marketing ourselves through our own direct channel, controlling the customer that way. So this window of time is really interesting for us, that the amount of new golfers coming into the game, the amount of people that are re-engineering and refiguring their life to accommodate golf, what are we going to do? So the whole point of this episode's outcome is not to bash anybody in particular, but just make ourselves smarter. Take a moment to make better decisions. If you remember, we went right into this run-up of golf, and I don't feel like the industry had time to pause and think about their decisions. And ultimately, we want to have a greater outcome. If you believe that's with More Golf Today because a woman in a pink tank top can market to golfers and that's how you're going to do it, great. You've at least taken a second to think about it. But lucky for us, we have a national association and a leader at the helm to show us the way and to kind of help illuminate some of that, discounted methodology for us. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Jay Karen. Jay, it's all you. Uh-oh, he's muted. There we go.
Yeah, he might be muted, Jay.
Webinar 101 mistake.
You were trying to mute me,
I think I've done enough of these, Well, hey, thank you guys for having me on, and so many metaphors and analogies I can just throw at this thing now. The game Pitfall comes to mind. That was the best. I think it was Brad or someone said they used to give them blisters, at the Atari. Like, oh my God, that was the best. Well, the metaphor here is, we need it. You are living in Pitfall as a golf course operator, right? And we got to help you jump on those alligators, avoid those snakes, all that, and get through to the next level, right? That's what we're trying to do here. I appreciate, helping you guys hit the ceiling of subscriptions to this webinar. 300 pre-registered, and we're hovering at 160, online active with us. Man, if you guys charged for this, imagine the breakage you would have. This is pretty fantastic.
They come back and watch later, so it's a subscription model we're generating here. Whether you call it golf now, golf tomorrow, golf forever, it doesn't really matter here. What we're talking about are some fundamentally flawed business practices when it comes to the barter economy in golf. And we have to talk about the alternatives. But if you're in a position, a market, or your owner or your management company, someone is requiring you, or you see that you might want to do business, then you have to have the conditions. You have to require certain conditions for your own business, or you should not do business with the barter method of compensation here. So, something before I get into my slide here, we got to remember the origins of Golf Now. If I remember the storytelling from our friends in the industry, was way back before there was really online aggregation. The folks that invented, Golf Now back on the West Coast, essentially it was an email marketing system where they'd go around to the courses and get their junk times, and they would promote these junk. I saw it say junk times, basically the low demand times that they just feel like they couldn't sell themselves. And they would push them out via email marketing to a list of subscribers and try to sell those times for them. And, it wasn't as much of a threat back then because those discounted times were not
on the screen next to all of the other prices, right? So it was a bit of a discreet way of trying to target these rates to whether they're new golfers or the discount shoppers that are out there, whatever it was. And so once these bartered low price times got on the same screen with the rest of the inventory, is all of a sudden when you put it in that context, you see what damage this can cause. And so so I'm going to walk through a few tenets here. Let me advance. There we go. So anytime you do business with an online tee time agency or the lung card or whatever it is, that is essentially trying to stand between you and a customer while saying we're going to bring you customers, their job is to get loyalty from that customer, which makes them what we call a disintermediary, right? And when you do business with anyone as a golf course, you should always know what it costs you, and if they're bringing you income, what is that income? And that's economics 101 as a business. When you're looking at your P&L, what did it cost you, or what did you bring in? When you barter, all of that is opaque at best. Oftentimes because you're not getting data on what was sold for how much, and so you don't know what you're paying for that service. And from an income standpoint, you really don't know what you're getting, right? Because if a bartered golfer comes to your facility, hopefully you're tracking what they're spending, but oftentimes you're not. And what we hear from a lot of course operators is they're not spending the extra money when they come to your course. They're not spending $150 on merchandise and $50 on food and beverage. Those that are looking for the 80% off bartered rounds are usually the ones that hold their wallets in their pockets. So anyway, you have to understand, if you can't see the cost or the income, you really should consider you should not do business with anybody that you don't know what it costs you. That's just my opinion. Now, you're right that pre-COVID, I'm going to say that the COVID situation, while we saw a bump in demand and there's prognostications from even those on this webinar that it's going to last a while, and I can understand why. But if everything else in society opens back up and people go back to the normal behaviors, and we see an ebbing of demand, then we'll be back to kind of where we were. And where were we? We had a negative supply and demand curve in our industry, which means we have too much supply and not enough demand. And what does that do naturally? It causes a decrease in price, a downward pressure in pricing naturally because of the supply and demand realities. So what I've often said is we don't need any outfit discounting our golf and focusing on it as strongly as they do when the natural conditions are for lower pricing as it is. So why would we hitch our wagon to something that focuses almost solely on discounted golf? And that's really what the barter tee times are here. So that's very, very problematic. And so, and what we're learning is that the bartered inventory, as well as other discounters, it can get played in so many different ways. And again, I hate to harp on any particular brand in our industry. That's not the point. We're not trying to attack the drug dealer here. We're trying to attack drug use. I guess is a good way of looking at this. Well, what happens though when you barter tee times? Then a company, let's say like Golf Now, has access to all of these millions of tee times that they can monetize in various ways, like for example, the Golf Pass program, which allows them to sell access to the bartered rounds for a deep discounted subscription price, which if you cashed in and used all of your credits, it essentially reduces I think we calculated the price of golf down to like $8 a round is what the effective price becomes, which is not good for this industry. Okay, so what we've done is, almost a year ago now, we launched and published the Beware of Barter Guide. And I'll show you at the end of my slides here how to get access to that. But in that guide, there are two things that we, in particular, want golf course operators to read about. And that's the cost of barter, which our friend Stuart Lindsay at Pellucid helped provide. And then there's barter opportunity cost, which Mike Laustelot at Benchmark with Sagacity provided for our report. The cost of barter essentially is, what does it cost a golf course per tee time just to even be open? All of your fixed costs essentially going into it. And you should know what that is. Is it, in order to open your golf course, does it cost you $15 per tee time to provide all of this stuff? If that's the case, and you bartered 1,000 rounds of golf, then it costs you just out the outset $15,000 out of the gate in order to provide that bartered inventory to a partner. That's a lot of money in exchange for technology. Does that technology cost you at minimum $15,000? Possibly not. Then there's barter opportunity cost, which is if you can figure out how many bartered rounds were sold for your facility, if you sold them yourself, what would you have sold it for? And what would that revenue have been? Now, granted, we can't assume that you would have sold every single one of those tee times that were sold through hot deals or what have you. But if you did, if you took total control of your marketing and you sold those at the same price as the adjacent tee times, what would that revenue have been? And you can do that calculation, and you can use tools like what Sagacity has and others to figure out what that is. You need to do these math equations in order to figure out, is the math worth it? And that's obviously for every business owner to decide for him or herself. But we at least want to put the tools in your hands to figure this out.
And I would say, Jay, that's the same for Groupon, Group Golfer, our woman in the pink tank top, everything. The math behind it is really driving some of this.
Absolutely. And if you're not willing to do the math and it's detrimental, then you're really hurting the market. You're hurting everybody else around you as well. So I encourage you to do the math here. So let's move on. Barter in and of itself is highly problematic. But barter is not a dirty word in and of itself. Bartering simply means I'm going to give you goods and services, and you give me goods and services in return. We agree that it's a fair value, and we shake hands and walk away. That can be fine. But the kryptonite in this whole equation here is price abdication. And that's because in the barter agreements, golf courses are allowing the third party to price their inventory. Now, you may have a floor pricing. You may come to an agreement on floor pricing, like, okay, the tee times cannot be sold for less than $15 or whatever your formula is. But oftentimes that is circumvented through discounting and coupons that are often, in the marketplace. 20% off your next hot deal. So if the price that shows up online is that floor pricing, and they can apply another 20-25% off, then you're breaking that floor pricing is going even lower than that. That's price abdication, when you give up price control. And I like to think about the hotel industry. And could you even imagine if Marriott or Hilton or any of those companies allowed a company like Expedia to price their rooms? Could you imagine that even happening? There's just no way. There's no way they would say, hey, Expedia, in order to have the benefit of listing our rooms on your site, we're going to give you 10 rooms a night, and you can price them as low as you want, maybe down to $25 a night. There's just no way that would happen, but it's happening in our industry. And that is, again, the kryptonite of all of this is the price abdication. So, I think also, we already talked about evaluating the effects when engaged with these third parties. So you have to understand, if you do engage with these third parties, what are they bringing to you and why are you doing it? We know some course operators that get on these programs for a couple of years and then get off of them because what they see it as is a customer acquisition tool. Not something to, it's not their primary marketing strategy, but if they spend a couple of years on it and they build their database by 1,000, 2,000 golfers and they find their way to wean themselves off, they may have a net positive effect if they're transferring that customer loyalty to their course as part of the process. If they're not doing that, then it's not as valuable of a relationship from what I've seen, and I'm sure you guys have seen the same. So what we need to do in our industry here really is reset the center of gravity, meaning taking control of your channels, taking control of your marketing, but also I would say emulate what some of these courses are doing, or what some of these online, tee time agencies and barter and discount shops are doing. If they obviously have some secret sauce here, otherwise they wouldn't be around. Why don't you emulate what they're doing and do it at your business? I'm going to give an example of Top Golf here. So, people were asking 5 years ago, were saying, oh, Top Golf is the darling of the golf industry. is saying, are they going to deliver golfers to the traditional golf course? That was the question of the year, right? What's the effect going to be on the golf course, the golf courses that exist? This is, are they going to feed us golfers? I said, you're asking the wrong question. What you need to be asking is, what are they doing that I can emulate at my facility? And that's, where we're seeing the rise of the golf entertainment business and putting in simulators, staying open at night, and all of these great things that we're starting to see happen around the country. That's what we need to do and make, again, in this case, guys, change the center of gravity so all of these things that are happening at your facility in your control. All right, so my last slide here for everybody is, I encourage you to go to the NGCOA website and go to the Advocacy Center, and under the Advocacy Center, you'll see a whole section on tee times. There you can download the Beware of Barter guide. It's 62-page riveted reading that, I encourage you to read yourself and share with your peers. Anybody, if you're your fellow owner operators, your fellow PGA members, anybody out there everybody should be reading this as kind of their Golf Operations 101 manual. Thank you to Harvey Silverman and Dave Barton and my team who helped piece this thing together. It's really a very important guide. Speak with other course operators. No golf course owner or operator wants to do anything unless someone else has done it first. And so when it comes to bartering, there are thousands that are out there bartering. The question is, who's not bartering anymore? Who's getting off of bartering? And there are facilities doing it. And I would just encourage you, listen to them. Let them tell their story. Do they regret getting off bartering, or is it a new good day for them? And that's where, NGCOA comes into play. You can get on our Accelerate form and talk with other owners and operators. Now, this may seem like a rhetorical question for everybody, but, when you look at your own marketing strategy, would you focus 95% of your marketing on your lowest priced inventory? Would you? If the answer is no, then don't let your partners, right? And by bartering, you're letting your partners do that. If you didn't barter, then they wouldn't have that inventory that they could sell at 80% off, right? And because they are spending 95% of their direct marketing to the consumers on selling these hot deals. There's just no question about it. That's just where their revenue comes from. So if you wouldn't do it yourself, I wouldn't let any partners do it. And if they're doing it, you should question partnering with them. That's, some advice. Demand alternatives to barter that are fairly priced, meaning ask for a monthly fee option instead of the bartering for their services. Ask for what are the commission rates and see if those fare better for your P&L than the barter option does. So, and if they don't offer those options, let us know, please, because these have always been conditions that we've required in the marketplace of online tee time providers is if you're going to barter, offer the alternatives as well. If they're not offering that, we need to know about that. Demand reports. This is your inventory, your customer base, your brand, your product. You deserve reports on what was bartered, what was sold, for how much, and the data on the customers that bought them. Those should be required conditions. If you can't get those in your agreement, I would question doing business with anybody that won't give you that information, right? So, and then lastly, again, launch your own programs here, folks. Your own pass program. The golf pass program, is what, $9-10 a month, and you get access to unlimited barter inventory here. Do it yourself. We're seeing a rise in the subscription program, the monthly subscription programs at public golf courses that gain those subscribers access to those off-peak time rounds at lower rates. And you know what? You get to benefit from the breakage, meaning people pay you a monthly fee, whether they come or not. You want them to come, but if they don't, you still get that fee. That's what's happening with the bartered inventory and with companies like Golf Now, is that they're making a lot of money off of your tee times, actually off of people not coming to your tee times. So I think you should launch your own programs here in out in the marketplace. So guys, that's really, I guess for today, the nuggets that I wanted to leave you guys with, but happy to chat about any of the above and look forward to what Kent has to say.
And I think what we'll do too is just if there's time, we're going to keep things moving and then move the discussion there to the end, because we're getting some chatter, Jay, on both sides of the fence. Hey, I'm using a certain provider and it was the best thing for me, or hey, I got off and it's the best thing we've ever done. So we'll frame that at the end. Kelly had one, which is if you can control, when the barter is used, is that a win? And I would say, and I'll turn this over to Jay, is I think as long as you're running the numbers, if you say, hey, listen, I'll trade you, hey, lady in the pink tank top at More Golf Today, I'll trade you the 12 and the 12:30 tee time on Monday for whatever marketing services you're going to offer me. You then get to run the math on that. How many customers did they bring me at regular rate? How much golf did I give away? Were the customers new or existing? You should do that through any marketing channel, whether it is Golf Now, More Golf Today, or Kent Ashby at Ignite Marketing Services. Run your own numbers. So it doesn't do really harm to test it out, but you've got to then make sure what are the returns on that. So if you say the return on that was greater than the Monday noon tee time that I gave up, then good for you. You've won. If the return isn't, and if you're, if that math isn't working out in your favor, then it's not. So I'm sure people will comment both sides of that equation, and we can maybe save that for the second. But are you seeing that sort of control, Jay, across the spectrum, or how would you answer Kelly's question?
Hang on, Scott. My chat thing disappeared. Hang on.
That's all good. Her question was down on the bottom anyway. You got to scroll down, but it was just, are you able to control when that barter's used, and does that make it a win for you?
You can control it if your provider allows you to. I mean, that's the question of the day right now in our industry is, can you barter and control the pricing and availability that works in your favor? You can't control all of it. You can control saying yes or no. That's really what because sometimes they'll say, well, hey, it's got to be this tee time, and this has got to be the floor pricing, or we're not going to do business with you. And you have the ability to say yes or no to that.
Yep.
So yes, I guess you always have control of the yes or no question. So to me, that's the most powerful thing, is that it's your inventory, your control.
Yep. All right, Kent, we'll keep her moving. Go on to yours, and we'll keep this train on.
Yeah. And thanks, Jay. All of that was wonderful. And there's a reason I'm not going to really touch on barter at all in my slides, and that's because I appreciate what you have to say, and I'll give you the burden, or I'll give you the chance to talk about that. That not me, but anyway, I do echo everything Jay said, and I think that what he said is good advice, and that we should all probably at least consider it. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about the discounting side and how to more appropriately discount, or maybe not discount at all, depending on the club that you are and where you guys are, the situation you're currently in. But essentially what you're doing when you discount, and this is a question I asked myself when putting these slides together, and I hope everyone asks themselves, is why do we discount? And ultimately why we discount is we're getting the easy, unearned attention when we discount, right? That's what we're doing. We're saying, I'm coming off my price in order to gain your attention. And that's what discounting is ultimately. And so it's a quick way to drive short-term sales. Obviously we've done that forever. It's good bait to get locked in golfers from the course down the street to come to your facility. We've been doing that forever as well. Great for liquidation of old or expiring income or inventory. That's not something we can probably cross that off the list right now, because that's not really the case right now. We don't need to liquidate expiring inventory quite as much as we used to, because as Scott was saying, occupancy is so high. You can help create demand with discounts for lesser known services, which I think this is a play that a lot of people don't do enough. If you're going to discount, why discount your core product? Why not discount some of the programs that you're trying to grow? Because that is an appropriate time to discount, in my opinion. Discounts are nice because you can offer different prices to different people effectively. An example of this is, I have a client in San Luis Obispo County, but every year we run a promotion during the winter time when they're a little bit slow, to actually offer a discount, a stay and play bundled discount to the neighboring counties that are their drive markets, and bring those people in. Now, the occasional person that's from San Luis Obispo County does redeem it, but because it's the stay and play package, they're much less likely to find that discount or that package appealing. So anyway, that's how you can offer different prices to different people. You can lower your customer acquisition costs which that's essentially what you're doing by lowering your pricing. You should be able to acquire more customers. I've seen people use them for incentives for return visits for first-time customers. Like, hey, thank you for stopping in. Here's a coupon for your next round. Come on back. I've seen that effectively done. And then discounts also are used to show customer appreciation, which I think is another applicable reason. But before you discount, I think we need to all sit here and think about, why are we discounting? What is the goal of this? And a lot of times the goal, at least for my clients that I work with, the goal tends to be, I just want more rounds this month, or I want to, get this customer from down the street to play at my course instead of the other. Well, the issue with that a little bit is these people aren't always price sensitive. I think we're all value conscious, but not everyone is looking for just the lowest price. And I think that can actually be a race that you might win, is the race to the bottom. And so who are we discounting to? I think a lot of people say, I'm going to discount to everyone all the time. Like, my discounts are appropriate for everybody, therefore I'm going to market them to everybody, which I don't think that's the case. And when I'm saying by discounting to everyone, I think everyone should be able to probably redeem all of your discounts, but I don't necessarily think you should market all of your discounts to all of your customers, is what I'm getting at there. Ensure profitability and opportunity costs. This one I'm gonna highlight and say, do not forget this one. This is a super easy, probably almost condescending sounding thing, like, oh, make sure that you've done the math and make sure it's profitable. But I have had customers, and I have personally sold a bunch of discount passes for a customer. Then the customer runs the math afterwards and then says, Kent, I think we made a mistake. This could hurt me. And so that's what I mean by that, is ensure it's profitable, and take some estimates. Say, hey, if we sell 20% more with this discount, what does that do? If we sell 30%, what does that do? Because at some point there might be a variable that kicks it back in the opposite direction. You might actually end up losing money. What's the plan to make up for lost revenue once you get the customer? So I think that's another thing. If you are gonna discount, if you're gonna push this discount and get the benefits of lower acquisition and all these things, lower costs, then you need to also make sure that your staff has a template or some dialogue or script that they can reference to help them. Hey, by the way, thanks for coming in and redeeming this coupon. Do you know we have our weekly golf clinics that you can sign up for? Here's a coupon to join one of those next. So that's another thing. And I put on here, discountings can be like a drug. We, as the golf courses, get satisfaction from the increased sales and increased transactions, and the customer gets satisfaction from getting the deal. And so we both get hooked on it. It's satisfying to us and to them. Even if we're not necessarily making more money, we can get satisfaction from the increase in rounds. And so why not offer discounts? What are we saying? What's the issue with them? Well, obviously you get lower perceived value, and that's not anything any course wants. If you're offering discounts with any kind of frequency, you can set a horrible expectation, and people will just say, hey, well, I don't want to play there. They don't have that $45 coupon that we used last time, but their normal rate's $60. Well, effectively, you're now a $45 golf course to those people, and that can hurt you drastically, especially in times like now when the demand is higher and we can ask for a higher rate. Those can hurt you even more so. And like what Scott said, whatever you're doing now can either help or hurt you 20 times more than it did before, or whatever the case, whatever stat was. I think that's important to remember. Lower margin is obviously one thing, and I'm not going to harp on that. That's obvious, but and I put in here the easy way is almost never the right way. And the easy way is discounting. If an easy way to get attention from the market that you're in is to slash your prices and say, hey, look at me, your prices are lower. And I think that's why we've gotten stuck in that rut for years, is because it's been the easy thing to do. And then this is just more as a note, but if you do implement this stuff and start weaning back on discounting, or maybe do some of the things we're recommending here, make sure that you're not chasing the threatening customer, because I've had many customers this year, or clients this year, implement these types of things. They do get kickback. They do get people saying, well, I've been paying this rate for the last 10 years or whatever the case is. Well, they're almost making the point for us. They've been paying the same rate for the last 10 years. And so I put a couple of quotes in here from Seth Godin, world-renowned marketing guy. I'll probably continue to use his quotes. But the problem with the race to the bottom is that you might win. I just think that's a clever thing in relation to pricing, and that's what he's using it therefore is in context of the pricing there. And if you're looking to be the fastest and cheapest around, there might be room enough for one of those in the market, but not two. And then another thing he puts in here is maybe the reason it seems that price is all your customers care about is because that's all you've given them to care about. Yeah. Maybe you haven't done anything else to say, well, they have this or they do that, and that's nice, or the course is I love the layout, whatever the case may be. So alternatives to discounting, I still think that there needs to probably be some get golf ready type entry level value tier thing that people can be introduced to golfers, because we were talking before the webinar, and Jay mentioned like there's going to be plenty of these new golfers coming to the sport. Plenty of them are going to be tire kickers, the people that are just looking to see if they like golf and see if they want to continue to do it. And so I think there probably does need to be a window that those people can play. Maybe it's twilight times, but just packaged up into something else and marketed appropriately. People love deals. We all do as consumers. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to cut your price of the core product. You can bundle things up. You can lower the price of a bundle without lowering the price of the core product. And that's not going to hurt you nearly as bad as just taking your price of golf from $40 to $50 for a weekend to try to help pad the tee sheet. You can another idea is if you are going to discount or discount something, don't discount the round of golf and then sell a less popular item with that. I had a course do a free sleeve of balls with each round that you purchased, and that was their special for that week. Well, little does everybody know, those balls were like 2 or 3 years old that they had been sitting on. They were kind of off-brand, and people appreciated them. I won't say they loved them, but they appreciated the sleeve of balls, and a lot of people that were redeeming them, were people that don't care if they're playing with a Pro V1 or with something they found on the side of the fairway. Segment your offers. Try not to offer everything to everybody. Make sure that you're focusing on a specific group of people or a specific time on your tee sheet that you want to kind of help and pad. And upsell opportunities are obviously a big thing. Keep those in mind. Make sure that your staff's well trained. I think that's going to be even more important as we move forward, especially as we're going from there's only so many rounds of golf I can sell to there's all these other ancillary things that can help support my business. Discount only to a select few, typically your most loyal. I think loyalty programs are still going to be, although they're discounts, I think they're still going to be staples. And I think, matter of fact, people that play the most often should probably be rewarded with the lowest rate, or that argument could be made, I think, effectively. And actually, I have a club that's even implementing something where the more rounds you play that year, the steeper your discount gets, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then offers like even free when you buy, like giving away the sleeve of balls with the round of golf. They're much less damaging and actually can effectively be a discount, if you will, a value add, but without actually slashing the price of your core product, which is golf. So I'm going to hand it off to Rob, and he's going to talk about what he's seeing on his end with the apps and technology usage.
Thanks, Kent. Hey, one thing while I'm opening up my slides here too, one thing that we have touched on too, and not to kind of add in to what Kent's saying, one thing that I have said is that recognition and access can also be your new version of discounting in 2021. So you don't necessarily need to access if you're giving somebody, kind of the holy grail in golf courses this year was, I needed a tee time. I'm booking at the course that's available. Or I've talked to friends where some people made a jump like I did, where we switched over to being a member at a private club because of access, or they booked at this course because it was the only one in their market that had a morning tee time available. So with your more loyal customers and in those loyalty programs, maybe it's not discounting. Maybe they actually wind up paying a higher price, but what you're actually doing is you're giving them access. Maybe they get 14-day access versus 7-day access to your booking engine, your tee sheet, to be able to book prime tee times. Maybe it's recognition in how they're treated, or maybe it's what I want to talk about here, and that's upping your game, raising the product you're putting out there, providing new services, providing a deeper connection, getting them better connected to your club through different things. So what I wanted to share here is, Jay touched on it, Scott touched on it. Barter is not just barter in the old, I'll give you this, you give me that. That's what it is. Barter has taken on a completely new meaning in the golf industry, whereas it's a way of business. This is how we do business, not in the I give you this, you get that, but in the you give me this, and this is what we're going to do with it. We're going to do all these extra things with it. And that's kind of the connotation that it's taken on in a lot of ways. In the mobile app space, which I can speak to the best because it's where I reside, Barter has landed in what we refer to as a container world. That container world being it's taking your inventory and it's taking everybody else who has that relationship and it's putting them side by side with each other. So what you're doing in this relationship is you're driving traffic to put it in front of your competitors. You're taking a database that you should be building for yourself, and you're building a database not only for the technology company that's providing this container world, but you're providing for your competitors as well. You're saying, hey, this golfer came to my golf course. Let me expose them to your inventory. And then not only let me expose them to your inventory, but let me expose them at the lowest rates in the market possible, not the rates that we really want to charge for our golf course. So just in a little bit of a comparison here, on the left is a container app. Some of you may or may not recognize the logo, but in a container app, one of the things we've been talking about through this whole webinar series is how people are searching for golf. They're searching for golf near them. Well, I opened this app this morning and I made these screenshots this morning. So the Vineyard at Escondido is 5 miles from me. Maderas Golf Club is 3.7 miles from me. This is my house where I'm sitting right this minute. These golf courses are the ones that are within this proximity, and I get to look at them all in one place. Does that seem nice to a golfer? Potentially, yes. I get to go to the shopping mall and I get to see all the brands put in front of me. It's the Macy's, where everything's there. I can look at Polo. I can look at Adidas. I can look at, Levi's. I can look at everything in one place. But is it helping you if you're only selling one of those brands? When you can drive that same result, and the next slide, I promise you, I'm going to get to some of the results, for a fraction of the price. Scott and Jay both touched on price also. We have seen in these relationships, to gain this presence, an average of 2 to 6 tee times per day, or if you're a $40 golf course, up to $960 per day going somewhere else that could be coming to you. That could be coming to your course, versus a branded presence of only $250 to $400 a month to be there. So I know the argument's for. I want to talk to you. I want to show you some numbers against that. One average branded app. These are real numbers. We have a deep connection to a management company that we have data. We can see what's going on in the app through their customer relationship management software. We know every dollar that's being spent through the app. May through August, here are the numbers. In one app that had just average downloads, 2,787 downloads in May. They grew to 3,115 in August. Not a huge database. About 20% of what their email database would be. This is the number. These are the numbers that were produced through their app only in those months. Now, the other thing that's nice about this is in a container app, they're selling your tee times, they're collecting the revenue, or they're driving some traffic to you and you're getting the revenue. They're not in that app selling your food and beverage. They're not in that app selling your merchandise. They're not in that app driving your loyalty program. They're not putting special offers that are yours in front of them. They're not putting the newsletter in front of them. They're not putting sign-ups for special events. They're not running your tournament software. None of those things are happening in a branded way in this barter relationship that's out there. So when we're talking about making arguments against barter, we're talking about relationship marketing and how you can handle that in a branded way. And the numbers are this. To give you even more interesting numbers, this is one app, folks. One app that has 9 courses in it. It's a group, a municipal group. It's a county group that in May, $150,000 through the app. June, $430,000 through the app. July, almost $500,000 through the app, with just normal amounts of downloads. We're talking nine courses here drove this level of database to them. 9,446, 10,000. By the end of August, they got up to 11,543 people, driving almost $500,000 a month through parts of the season. Folks, in this branded way, this is where you not only gain control of your database, you gain control of your messaging, you gain control of your content, you gain control of what's in front of them, you gain control of your commerce, in addition to everything else we've talked about. So like Jay had a couple questions, I've got a couple questions that I'd like you to ask yourself. If in a branded presence we can produce in an average app in a season, like we just showed you, $25,000 to $35,000 per month in revenue. If your customers can produce that, $25,000 to $35,000 per month in revenue, do you want to share that not only with other courses in your market, but also with the tech provider due to the barter deal that they're demanding? Do you want to drive them, say, hey, download this app, we're in this container app, get to this container app where you can now share that revenue with the competition? Because I guarantee this 25 to 35,000, when there are other courses in the mix, it's not going to be spent just on your course anymore. It's going to be spent as a mix across all the courses they have access to. And it's also going to be shared with the technology company. So we're not just talking about gaining control of your database. We're talking about gaining control of your messaging, who's controlling your brand, who's controlling your content. And you can't do that in a deal. Jay, what was your question? It was, I'm sorry, your comment about 95% of the marketing in your slide. Can you repeat that?
Marketing, would 95% of your marketing focus on the lowest price rounds that you have to sell? No.
Exactly. And 100% in conjunction with that, do you want to push all of your technology presence, at least in a mobile world, but in some other spaces too, as we well know, do you want to push that presence where it's out of your control? Where it's being pushed to something is being motivated by something other than selling your inventory at your price specifically.
Let me offer an example of that. Like you warn of losing control of the message, right? I had an example of an email sent from the large OTTA out there, sent directly to thousands and thousands of golfers, and the headline message was, trying to sell bartered rounds. The headline of the subject of the email was basically, stop paying too much for golf. Buy the hot deal, stop paying too much. And it was just like, well, stop the presses for a second. You're implying that anything that's not 80% off is paying too much for golf.
Right.
Any golf course operator watching or listening, would you ever do that for, in your own marketing? And if the answer is no, then don't allow others to do it. And when you participate in this barter economy, you are allowing that. You have lost control.
I mean, to that point too, Jay. Yeah, if you are going to do that, if you're going to put it out there and say stop paying too much for golf, it's because you're the lowest priced golf course in your market, and you're okay saying that. You're okay at being in a competitive market saying, look, our price is $25 and everybody else is $40 and higher. Stop paying to go visit them. But in effect, what you're doing is you're controlling your message, you're controlling your price, you're controlling your brand. Bottom line.
That's true.
Hey, Rob, you over one. I want to just stop on it, which was you had a really good stat. That's why I love talking to you, because you throw these things out. You said a 20% ratio of app download to email database. So if I have 10,000 people in my email database, 2,000 people will download the app. I think that's pretty good. Do you think that's a good par? You think that's a good par?
That's par.
Okay, I like that.
Actually, that's like par plus half a stroke. That's like a Canadian skin. That's what we play at our game. We play Canadian skins. You get a half a stroke, so a natural birdie still beats a net birdie. And we can talk golf speak here, so people understand we really are in the golf business. We do understand it a little bit, but yeah, what we've seen is when we work with courses that come on with us, and we drive really not hard, we drive average number of downloads. In about 12 months, they get to about 20% of the size of their database has downloaded the app.
I think that's a good number. I think maybe just to throw out there to people is, I don't think they're focusing on what the size of their email database is, but then that's the next metric you're
No,
How much can you push those
another
golfers to
yeah,
get?
another thing that went out there also earlier, and it's loosely related, and this made me think about it. Is Jay, you mentioned market like they do. Let's or maybe Scott, you mentioned it. One of you guys mentioned earlier, like if there's one thing we can learn from them, folks, they're sending multiple emails per day. One thing that I talk with golf courses, they're afraid to reach their database on a super frequent basis. They're afraid that, oh no, they might opt out. I got a news for you. If they unsubscribe from your email, they're not your customer. They don't want to hear from you. They don't care. They're not booking your tee time. If they think they might do business with you, they're not going to unsubscribe. They're not going to opt out. Sending 4 or 5 emails a week, there's nothing wrong with that. This company, the biggest one in the space, and a lot of others have built multi-gazillion dollar empires based on these marketing principles that work: reach and frequency. They are building their reach and owning their reach, and they're reaching them in a frequent basis to drive their marketing. And it's not something that you should ignore as a business either.
Now, the database marketing guy in me will say, try to customize that. So as long as those
be segmented, be relevant.
So,
exactly. I mean, anything you should do with any marketing campaign is be relevant and make sure you're reaching the proper audience.
Right.
So,
all right. So I'm going to.
And I know we're getting close to going over. So just one note, guys. I am going to have to exit here probably in about 10 minutes. So you continue on without me, of course. But there's
we'll never survive.
Yeah, you'll make it.
And again, you can walk away if the next call is coming up, because you'll get an email and you'll get reminded and you can watch the rest of it.
Yeah.
So mine, I guess, will go as quick as possible here, which for me is difficult. The first thing I'd say is from a PPC provider's perspective is you got to look at the first thing with any relationship you're doing right now is no long-term deals. What a long-term deal does is prevent you from being able to duck and weave. The situation on the ground has changed. It's changed so drastically from we were a year ago, that if you're in some sort of 2, 3, 4-year deal, you're not able to leverage your relationship and make those changes. So I'm trying to think of a time when it's good for the golf course to be in such a long-term deal. So really look at that in terms of how can I get out of this or unwind this if I sign up with More Golf today and the lady in the pink tank top is selling my stuff and it's not doing a good return on the investment. How do I unwind that on that deal? Well, if you're in a 10-year deal, you might have some problems. So the other perspective, and what we said is high demand has increased barter demand as well. So your tee times, wherever they might be located, are now more valuable. So some of the firsthand accounts that we've got is I would call desirable days, anywhere from Wednesday at 2 to Sunday at 2. Let's call that the desirable window for golf. Some of these people are actually selling 98 to 100% of the golf that's available during those days. So it's not, hey, we'll just sell a tee time every now and again. It's almost at max capacity in terms of what they're able to liquidate at a golf course. So that's just something to be aware of. And then customer data, if we're sharing this data, it's riskier now when you have so many new golfers. Back to my 20x thesis there at the beginning, that if you are in a relationship with More Golf Today or Group Golfer that allows them access to the data, there'll be more people over to that here in this massive demand surge that we're in. And then to reiterate what Rob said, kind of use all these companies as an example of loyalty programs. Hey, buy X amount of rounds and get this, get merchandise, get golf trips or whatever. Whose loyalties program is best? And I would challenge you to make sure that your loyalty program is best. And it doesn't need to be, hey, play 3 rounds and your 4th is free. You can get way more creative with that. And there's lots of different ways to unpack loyalty that isn't just about discounting golf. And when you look at the new customers in this window here, what should we be training them to do? We know we're training them not to do. What are we trying to do here? So get real specific here, that the first thing we want to do is we want them to pay full fare. Now, full fare varies based off of Monday at noon versus whatever. And we actually had this argument, Jay, yesterday is, what's the on-ramp for golf, et cetera. The golf course will decide that. I will decide what my on-ramp is, where it is, and what it is priced, right? So I want to be able to control that to the customer and make sure that they're aware that this is the avenue for them. We should be encouraging them to get social. If the point of this 6-episode series is to make them stick in 2022, we need to do more than just get them out for a round of golf. We actually need to get these new customers engaged with others at the facility. We need to get them engaged with their friends. We need to say, hey, Rob, who else do you normally hang out with that hasn't been golfing? Oh, well, Jay and Kent. Oh, well, let me get them in my database and let's get them invited out to the golf course. And then we need to get them to share that fun through their social media channels. That the social world can work for you or work against you. Hey, I just booked a deal on More Golf today, and the girl in the pink tank top gave me 80% off. That works against you. Or, hey, here's an Instagram post of the beautiful golf course. We had a great day, et cetera. That works for you. So you want to encourage yourself to make it where they can work for you. And then the number one thing I would say too is you got to be able to get them to book direct. That your best price, the loyalty points, the greater time windows, it's kind of an accumulation of all of these things. Is what we're trying to say is you need to own your direct channel and make your direct channel dominant to everything else. So what does a direct channel best practices, what we would say is, to give the commercial for Kent and Rob, is the first thing into controlling your direct channels. What does it look like and how does it work? It needs to look great. It needs to work awesome. It needs to work across all devices and look beautiful across all devices. If it hasn't been updated, update it. It also needs to incorporate the transaction capability, easy to use web booking technology through us or through anybody that you find, but you need to test that out and make sure that your direct channel is awesome. And then the thing that makes it awesome, even if you had really great technology and it was working well, but you were offering $5 golf through the woman in the pink tank top, you are going to lose. People are going to choose another avenue because the best price is not found there. So that is the one way to control that relationship with the customer, is to be able to give them and guarantee them your best price. If you need to offer specials, you're doing it under your conditions, under your control. And I would say even that aren't offered elsewhere. Oh, I see you've got some specials tomorrow. Yeah, we just decided that we're going to do some specials and send an email out. These are things that you control that nobody else does. The other way to control your direct channel is to look at what the buying pattern is through Google. What does Google see? Check for yourself. We already had, some comments over there in the chat. People, other companies bidding on my own keywords. Buy your own keywords, and it's not SEO, excuse me, Kent, SEM for search engine marketing. But you need to, I would say the throw down the gauntlet for me is buy one keyword or phrase in 2021, just to test it, just to see what can Kent do. Okay, well, we had 100 people come to your site because of the keyword Charleston tea times. And of those 100, 20 stayed for a minute and 15 of them bought a tea time. You need to explore that avenue. And if you've avoided it for whatever reason, there is no more avoiding it. I would challenge you that there is not a public or private facility in the world, short of Augusta or Cypress Point, that doesn't need to be bidding on their own keywords, finding another keyword that can generate them more business. You have to start somewhere. So I'm going to challenge you guys all on this call is to start with one. Do one search engine marketing on your own that you can control. If not, call Kent and he'll help you out with it. And then the data that you're collecting, you have to capture your own data and guard it with your life. The example I use about how important it is to collect data is Golf Now. How important is it to capture data? It's so important that it's a pop-up on the homepage. It's front and center within 5 seconds of somebody landing on the page. So if the number one consumer golf destination is showing us that, I would then encourage you, is it front and center with your own staff, with you yourself, and how you answer the phone and people that approach the golf course? Hey, let me get your information. It's the first thing I need to do. So use the other players as an example for the importance of that. And to reiterate, Kent said, no unnecessary discounts. This includes your own email blasts, your own marketing efforts. And I would say that decisions need to be made now. We've given a few demos, courses in New Jersey, courses in New York, where they just got rid of winter rates as an experiment. Just like, you know what? We're still busy. Let's just nuke out winter rates. No customer pushback. One person, hey, are you on your winter rates? And the answer was, yeah, we're on our winter rates. They look really, really similar to our summer rates, but there are winter rates. But you need to start making those decisions now, because we're going to start to go with winter rates. If it's a mild winter or we get into an early spring, what are our season pass sales? the Kent example, we sent that out, and I think we might have done some damage to ourselves. And you've got to price these things knowing that 2021 will still bring some increased costs and some limits on your business. We might go back and forth about when the first 144 person shotgun event is going to be outside of Florida, of course, Kent, where things are open. It's the Wild West. But there's going to be some limits on it. So if there's a limit on it, if there's increased costs for cleaning and maintenance, et cetera, you don't have time for discounts potentially. So you have to start to put those into your P&L. And to tease a little bit about what's coming up for the next episode is we're going to evaluate some of these methodologies that you can use so that you don't have stagnant pricing. So there's utilization-based pricing, there's capacity pricing, there's value add, there's full-blown dynamic integrated with multiple parties that are out there, auction-based, specials-based, loyalty program. But I would say, as people are, even in the chat, are starting to talk about this, that pricing is key at your facility now, and it's really key to how you're going to come out of the gates in 2021. How you message that to your golfer. Why are you charging $80 here April 1st? You're normally a $60 golf course. But as we look at pricing in 2021 for you, we'll bring up a few examples here and some of the facilities that we'll bring as case studies after the first of the year. It's $1 million paradigm shift for your business, $1 million. And I'm not talking about, Cog Hill number 4 and it's a $155 golf course. I'm talking about a run-of-the-mill average golf course creating $1 million in new revenue based off of some simple tactics that they implemented through, price sophistication. So that's kind of a little teaser for your next episode. I think we'll probably do it, I don't know, first or second week of January there, Kent. We haven't really set the date. But if all of the other things that we've talked about are, hey, good ideas that can help me get 10,000 here, 10,000 there, this is the first $1 million idea, right? So if that doesn't tease you to come up, for the next one, I don't know what will. So we appreciate you guys staying on. We will continue to stay on and ask as many questions as you guys want. Do any of the panelists own golf courses? Chip asked that a couple times. Chip, I would say all three of us, and including Rob, make our living on a robust and rich golf course ecosystem. So myself, I came in through a management company, and that's how I got my start working from private clubs or whatever. So I've been paid by golf courses for 31 years. So I would say Jay only survives if golf courses are thriving, and I would say the same thing for Kent. So that's why our path is there, is that we are not a stakeholder in an individual golf course. We are a stakeholder in the industry itself. And if we have less golf courses making less money, we ourselves will be out of a job. So I view the health of the industry as my health, essentially. And I don't know if Jay, assume Jay probably feels the same way since he's the head of the asociation. If your golf courses are cut in half, there might be a problem.
When someone asks, hey, do you have a golf course? I say, no, I've got 3,000 golf courses. I feel like, their success is important to me. And, my board of directors who I report to are all golf course owners and have been for decades in many cases. So I think Chip's question, I'm wondering, hopefully he's not speaking to our legitimacy in what we're talking about here, but we understand what it takes for a small business to thrive. And we've seen, unfortunately, since 2005, 2006, the peak, this precipitous decline and the closing of golf courses, and all of that is very painful. I mean, some of it was necessary because we were overbuilt, certainly, in the sense of the grand scheme. But, so we don't own courses, but we certainly feel their pain and want to celebrate their success. And to me, the success is more dollars in the bank. That's it. More dollars in the bank for a golf course operator so they can pay their team. They can put money away for the college savings for their own kids. The value of their course is higher. That's what we want.
Yeah. And I admittedly have never ran a golf course or any of that, but I'm the idea guy. And I work with over 100 clients personally that I work with. And, I oftentimes am shot down and told, Kent, have you ever ran a golf course? that idea would never work. But but that idea usually something stems off of that idea, and then we figure out something that does work for the golf course. I admittedly am that person. I'll be the person to bring you 5 bad ideas in hopes that we get one good idea.
That's your batting average? That's your batting average?
Probably.
Come on, Ken. You got better than that. David asked, is there a way to figure out how much the third-party course rankings are worth? I believe that's probably a question for you in terms of what's it cost to, and that'll probably vary market by market. What does it cost for me to show up first on an ad buy for Chicago golf courses or Chicago tee times? I would imagine that's the question. Maybe you can answer it based off of market by market.
Yeah, market. It definitely varies market by market. You'll a more competitive like metropolitan area, you'll pay probably like close to $5 or even more in some cases.
Okay.
For a click, not to just show up once, but you only pay for a click on your ad. So that's nice because if someone clicks on your ad, you can, at least they were interested enough to click on it. They've pre-qualified themselves to some degree, at least. But in other markets, it's more like $1.50 or so per click, so quite a bit more affordable. And the conversion rate on most of those ads, if done properly, if all things go well, is somewhere in like the 10 to 20% range. So really high, high. So that's the beauty of it is that the conversion rate's really high, which no other advertising channel that I've seen for tee times at least has touched. But that being said, I'm seeing a ton of Facebook and Instagram ads perform extremely well for other things like membership sales and tournaments and those kinds of things.
I would imagine too, Instagram probably for event sales and hey, this is what a bride sees, or
for sure.
Notes come back. That would be an interesting channel. But that's why I think the challenge is one, right? If you're not doing SEM at all, and you take nothing away from this, you're going to do one. And if you don't do one, you're a scaredy cat. All right, and I'll call you names.
Emulate what the big guys are doing. They're doing it. You should steal their playbook and do it for yourself. I mean, all this, whether it's their subscription programs or SEM, anything like they have highly paid marketing professionals who understand this. And you can benefit from that and just simply do your best to emulate what they're doing. I mean, obviously you need professional help oftentimes in doing that, but do it for yourself.
Yeah. And Patrick mentioned the single sign-on idea for all golf course. I mean, that would be awesome. I don't know the logistics behind something like that, Patrick, but I know it's not easy. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean, people have been chewing around the solution, right? There's, to have one sole place to book tee times and not at a discount. I mean, I get it, and having that, user be able to see them. Believe me, I get it. So, but I think for the purpose of this call, no matter what, today, tomorrow, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, direct channel. How do we best leverage our own direct channel, our own website, our own email marketing efforts, our own loyalty programs, our own SEM? And if you're not doing all of those things, then why go search somewhere else? Do all of those things first and say, man, I exhausted everything I ever could do. And now I need the lady in the pink tank top from More Golf Today to go sell more golf, less cash. Like if that's your last avenue of choice. So, but for 2021, I think the point that we continue to thread through this is now's the time to try something different. Try it. Just see what happens. You have a lot of wind in your back. You have technology that's available to you, and you have some cash in the bank from 2020. And I've said this from the get-go. Don't just sit on it. Don't just, get yourself a nice Christmas present. Although I do want you to do that. I want you guys to reinvest that stuff so that so that 2022 is really our key year of, sticking these new golfers into the game. So, any other questions you saw in the chat?
There was a comment from Kelly up in Canada, and she said, we're in Canada and Barter has worked because the network using the Barter thinks the online convenience is beneficial. It allows us to diversify and maximize our tee sheet. I want to make sure we're talking about the right thing here, because Barter is not what the golfers like, is what she's saying. They like an aggregator. They like the online convenience of an aggregator, which is, I understand. I fully understand as a consumer. I love it too, right? I love going to the open table to see what's available for restaurant booking, right? So, but it's not the Barter that is loved, it's the online convenience. So can you participate in an aggregator and not Barter, I think is the fundamental question.
Well, yeah, that's a question that deserves answering. I think it'll be a challenge for those of us in the industry. And for those of you that are drinking at home, I think, I can't remember the game that Shane was doing, but it was the last time that we had some phrase that we kept saying and they kept drinking during the entire thing. So hopefully you're not too drunk as we say the word aggregator, or I say the woman in the pink tank top. But we certainly appreciate everybody participating. We've got 2 more, I would call it 2.5 more, that will queue up here after the first of the year on dynamic pricing, and then how to compete and win. If you want our opinion, it will not be fact-based. It'll just be, this is what we would do to compete and win in 2021. And we'll tie in all of the threads and all of the takeaways, and you'll give yourself exactly 30 days to execute on those and to make your 2021 the best. And then we'll do a director's cut in late January on some of the other topics that we brought up. So best to all you guys. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Stay safe.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
And
Appreciate y'all.
we look forward to seeing you guys after the first of the year. Jay,
It's got the dunce hat.
Jay, thank you so much for coming on. Jay, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate it.
We look forward to you guys at the Golf Business Conference as well. That'll be a good time in the end of January. So
take care, guys.
All right, take care, guys.
All right, guys.
Happy holidays. Bye.